Thank you very much. Thank you very much, Scott. That was a very gracious introduction. I don't talk about my high school hockey games north of Highway 2, but I appreciate the thought. You know, I learned long ago never to stand between an audience and the bar, the buffet, or the bathroom. So scheduling my speech right before dinner is Charlie Weaver's way of saying keep it short. Besides, we're all just marking time waiting to see if Charlie can top his comedy routine of last year. But I'd like to give special recognition to my fabulous Lieutenant Governor, Tina Smith. Among her many responsibilities, Tina chairs the board of Rochester's Destination Medical Center, a project which will transform that city and continue Mayo Clinic's worldwide medical supremacy. Overall, Minnesota's economy is doing very well. In 2014, our per capita income was the 10th highest among the states. That's the best ranking we've enjoyed since 2004. Our median household income of $61,481 also ranked us the 10th highest state, 15% above the national average. 222,600 more Minnesotans are employed today than when I took office in January 2011. And that's thanks to all of you, not to me. Our statewide unemployment rate has been at or under 4% for over a year. State government ended last spring's legislative session with an unobligated balance of $865 million. Revenues during the past 7 months have exceeded last March's forecast by some $698 million. And CNBC ranked Minnesota the top state for business in 2015, causing a massive shift to Fox News by MPP members. Unfortunately, not everyone in our state is enjoying the same relative prosperity. I'm sure you've seen the recent census data, which shows the serious racial disparities in jobs and incomes. 38% of African American Minnesotans live in poverty, almost 5 times higher than the percent of white Minnesotans. The median household income of black Minnesotans is only 40% that of whites. Similar gaps are found in measures of housing, health care, and education achievement. Those inequalities are also found among Hmongs, Latinos, American Indians, and other minority groups. To reduce them will require more from all of us. Many of your businesses are already making impressive efforts to increase diversity in your workforces and your management hierarchies. Some of you could do more. I place the state of Minnesota in that latter category. Over the past year, we have greatly increased our efforts to add diversity to our workforce at all levels. But I fault myself for not starting this initiative sooner. I guarantee, however, that it will be a top priority from now on. And I ask you to make it one of your top priorities as well. Not only is it the right thing to do, it is also critical to our state's economic future. There will not be enough Minnesota-born, white, B-plus average high school and college graduates in the years ahead to replace retiring workers and expand our labor force. Our continued economic growth will depend upon our better assimilating and training new immigrants and current outliers. It will also depend upon improving our health, education, and social services to produce more B-plus students and fewer outliers. The Minnesota Business Partnership deserves great credit for championing quality early learning programs over the past 2 decades. You foresaw that those young children would be your future employees, managers, and executives. You recognized that all child care facilities were not equal, and that quality care had to include quality learning to give young children, especially from disadvantaged backgrounds, the tools they would need to succeed. In 2011, the Minnesota legislature funded $4 million for early childhood scholarships. This year, it provided $104 million. That's tremendous progress. When I ran for governor in 2010, I proposed state-funded all-day kindergarten for 5-year-olds. In 2013, the legislature passed that authorization and funding, and the response has been astounding. In the program's first year, 99.6% of Minnesota 5-year-olds attended all-day kindergarten. Every school district but one offered it. Last session, I proposed that we offer pre-kindergarten for our state's 57,000 4-year-olds. Like universal kindergarten, my pre-K proposal failed on the first try. As a result, this year about 6,000 children will receive parent-aware scholarships, but over 50,000 Minnesota 4-year-olds and their parents will be on their own. What a shame. We should do better next year. At the other end of the education continuum, we need to do a better job of interesting high school and college students in the jobs of the future and preparing them for those careers. Currently, there are 118,000 people unemployed in Minnesota. At the same time, there are 98,000 job vacancies. What a huge missed opportunity. There are multiple reasons for this disconnect, but there's also much that we can and must do to reduce it. We need to do a better job of alerting junior high and high school students to the careers which will offer them good jobs at good incomes. And our colleges and universities need to provide the curricula which will prepare those students for them. I believe that post-secondary institutions should be more than job training factories, but I also believe that giving students college degrees without employable skills is a huge disservice to them and to society. So we need our colleges and universities to be in close consultation with the businesses in their areas about the job skills their graduates will need for good employment. If that communication isn't happening with you, please let me know. 651-201-3468. That's 651-201-3468. I need to mention another critical deficiency which threatens to constrict our future economic growth and social vitality, and that is transportation. We're all transportation experts based upon our own personal experiences. It now takes me somewhere between 15 and 40 minutes to drive from St. Paul to Minneapolis, depending upon traffic congestion. If there's snow, it can take over an hour. I used to be able to handwrite thank you notes as I was driven from one greater Minnesota town to another. Now I often can't keep my fingers on the keys of my laptop. I waste countless minutes and gallons of gasoline at red lights in Minneapolis, St. Paul, and elsewhere, which have not been synchronized in decades or centuries. Add your stories to mine, and we all know how seriously we need to improve our transportation systems throughout Minnesota. Highways, roads, and bridges lack sufficient capacities to move traffic safely and efficiently. Public transit also lags behind the needs of our growing metropolitan areas and adds to highway congestion. There are two truths about transportation. Almost everyone agrees we need to invest more, and almost no one wants to pay for it. We urgently need to establish dedicated sources of revenue that will be sufficient to repair and improve our transportation systems, not just for the following year, but for the following decade and beyond. If we don't, it's certain that they will continue to get worse and become even more expensive to improve in future years. Reducing racial inequality, expanding early childhood learning, and improving transportation systems all have one common characteristic. They require spending more money, which collides with those in the private and public sectors who believe that our number one priority, or even our only priority, should be to cut taxes. Now, I don't have enough time left to do justice to our perpetual tax debate tonight. You'd miss dinner, and I'd miss the fourth quarter of the Lynx game. But I do want to clarify that we did not create our current budget surpluses by raising taxes on all Minnesotans. By 2013, we erased a projected $2 billion budget deficit, and another $2 billion still owed our school districts by raising taxes by 2% on the amount of taxable personal income above $150,000 for single taxpayers and $250,000 for married couples, and by increasing cigarette taxes and closing certain corporate tax loopholes. The following year, we cut taxes by $500 million for 2 million Minnesotans. I'll bet you didn't know that, because the good news can never compete with the bad news. So 98% of Minnesotans pay the same personal income tax rates today as they had for the past 15 years, in tax brackets that have been indexed for inflation since 1979. 2% of Minnesotans are paying 2% more of their taxable incomes above $150,000 and $250,000 in state income taxes. Many of you are in the top 2%, as am I. I thank you, because you helped to turn this state's fiscal situation around. From a $6 billion budget deficit when I arrived to a current $865 million surplus today. From $2.7 billion in indebtedness to our own school districts to a clean slate now. From declining credit ratings to a positive outlook and potential upgrade from Standards & Poor's. However, the primary reason for our fiscal reversal is not more taxes. It's more jobs. It's more profitable businesses. It's more economic growth. Minnesota's economic recovery led the nation's. Our employment growth surpassed most other states until, with an employment rate below 4%, we literally ran out of enough employable workers. You deserve great credit for Minnesota's economic growth. You and other business owners and executives, and Minnesota's reliable, productive workers. So I ask you now to ask yourself, what do we most need to continue that growth in the years ahead? Do you need a couple $100 tax cut, more than a 4-year-old child needs a year in pre-kindergarten? More than you and your family need safer highways to drive on? Or the safer state that better equity provides? Please think carefully about what would most benefit Minnesota, because it's your state. Thank you very much. Thank you.